LDV has jumped on the lifestyle ute bandwagon with this new range-topping variant of its budget-friendly T60 dual cab. It won't surprise you to learn that utes are the hottest ticket in town right now, with buyers forking out $60,000, $70,000 or even $80,000 for their feature-laden dual cabs. So does this circa $50,000 LDV T60 Max Plus have what it takes to steal buyers from mainstream brands like Ford and Toyota? Let's find out.
The LDV T60 Max Plus is priced from $47,990 drive away. That's for ABN holders. If you're an average non-ABN holding Joe like me, it's priced at a very specific $50,516 drive away. For that money, you get a meaty 2-litre 4-cylinder twin-turbo diesel pumping out 160 kilowatts and a very healthy 500 newton metres. It's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission and a 4-wheel drive system that offers the usual modes we've come to expect from the segment. 2H high-range rear-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive high-range and 4-wheel drive low-range. And the list of standard equipment is healthy, if not class-leading. Highlights in this range-topping Max Plus model include climate control air conditioning, leather-trimmed seats, a heated steering wheel, rain-sensing wipers, 18-inch alloy wheels, and a host of black body enhancements that help set it apart from the rest of the range. There's also a big 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone connectivity.
Like any top-spec ute, there are plenty of design touches to set this model apart from those lower down in the range. And the theme for the LDV T60 Max Plus is black. There's a lot of it. This gloss black grille leading into these sleek headlights, black cladding over the wheel arches, gloss black mirror caps, door handles, side sills, roof racks. And out the back here, we've got this pretty spiffy looking sports bar, which, while it looks awesome, does present its challenges, which we'll detail further later. I really like what LDV has done with this in terms of its styling, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Inside, the LDV T60 is a pretty nice place to be, really playing on its lifestyle positioning in the market. There's some nice materials throughout, including these leather seats and the dash top. There's contrast red stitching, which looks pretty schmick, and the general feeling of practicality throughout. The seats are electrically adjustable for both the driver and the passenger. Steering wheel, this is a little gripe, can be adjusted up or down, but not forward or backwards. So that's a bit of a misstep, I feel, and I find in my driving position, it's just that little bit too far away for my liking. There are plenty of practical touches. There's a nice storage bin here. It's got this little divider which creates more space, although what you do with it now, I'm not so sure. I guess you can pop it back in there. There's a cup holder under this drawer. You can remove the cup holders, which is a bit tricky. I don't know why you would. But it does open up quite a massive and a little secret storage area down there, which might be handy if you're trying to hide some valuables. There's a wireless phone charging pad. Again, in here, a couple of USB ports, a Type A and a Type C. It's got door pockets, which look like they can hold bottles, but I had a small water bottle in there and it's a tight squeeze, so it's probably not the most practical. The seats themselves, nicely supportive, although I do find the seat back on this one, it's a little bit firm. It's just digging into my lower back there. There's no lumbar adjustment, so you kind of have to live with it. But that just might be a problem for me personally. You might have a different experience. Visibility over the bonnet is good. You can see everything clearly. These two screens, they look pretty schmick, although there's not a lot going on. The main infotainment screen is really just a host for Apple CarPlay and a bunch of the vehicle's functions like seat heating, which has to be done through the screen. Climate controls, although you can have these shortcut buttons down here which can adjust temperature and fan speed. But other than that, there's not a lot going on. There's no navigation. There is digital radio if that's what you need, but essentially it's a host for your smartphone. For the first time though, LDV has incorporated Android Auto. Previously it only had Apple CarPlay, but now you get the choice. This digital driver display, it's not the most configurable. There's really only one screen that shows driving data that you can scroll through a number of settings, but other than that, it's static. It does the job, tells you how fast you're going, your engine speed, but other than that, it's there for looks. Overall, the front row presents really nicely. It looks slick, there's some nice features and some nice practical touches. But let's check out the second row to see how that stacks up. As you can see, there's plenty of space here in the second row. This is my own driving position. Now, I'm no giant at about 173 centimeters, but as you can see, there's plenty of space here, lots of underfoot room, headroom's excellent, and it feels roomy. Strangely, I find the second row seating much more comfortable. That hasn't got that sticky out bit that I find a little bit discomforting in the front. And overall impression is it's a nice place to spend some time in. You'd be pretty happy doing long road trips in the back here. Second row amenities run to some air vents, although no separate climate controls. A USB point down there, a tiny little storage nook, ideal for your smartphone maybe. There are map pockets, door cards that hold bottles, and cup holders in this fold-down armrest. It's quite comfy on the elbow too, nice and soft. Now to the essential part of any dual cab ute, the tray. Tailgate, it's got a gas strut, which is nice, but it's heavy to close. Inside, you've got this nice spray-on tub liner, which offers some protection, which is good. Other than that, not a lot going on out the back here. There's some tie-down points, 4 to be exact, but there are no lights. There's no power source, and this sports bar, which looks amazing, I have to admit, is a bit impractical. I'd love to clean a couple of those leaves out the back there, but I just can't reach in because of this protuberance here. You'd have to climb up on the wheel, and even then, maybe I need to be a bit taller or get some longer arms, but it's not the most practical. Payload is rated at 830 kilos in this model, which is a bit light on for the category, but it's okay. The LDV T60 is neither fast nor slow, it's just an average run-of-the-mill ute. Takeoff from standstill is pretty good, and cruising on the highway at 110 k's an hour doesn't present too many challenges for it. It doesn't feel underpowered, but neither is it exciting like, say, a nicely spec'd Ranger might be. The engine sounds a little bit agricultural. It's still got that clatter, that diesel clatter, the chugginess that diesels of old were known for. The mainstream manufacturers seem to have ironed that problem out. However, LDV still feels like it's a step behind in its refinement. The 8-speed auto is fine for the most part, certainly if you're driving at normal city speeds, 60 to 80 k's an hour or out on the highway. But we have discovered there's a little calibration issue when you're driving at around 40 k's an hour. When you're at that speed, which you'll find you spend a lot of time in the city, there's a hesitation from the transmission. It thinks it might want to change, but then it doesn't, and that results in quite a jerky ride or quite a jerky driving experience at that 40 k an hour mark. Normally, if you're driving through that speed, like if you're accelerating up to 60, it's not an issue. But as anyone who lives in a city will know, you spend an awful lot of time at 40 k's an hour, and it does become a bit grating. The gear selector itself, it's new for this model. It's located on this stalk here, possibly inspired by Mercedes-Benz, and it's fine. As anyone who's spent time in a Merc will know, it becomes second nature. The 8-speed auto is fine for the most part, certainly if you're driving at suburban speeds of sort of between 60 to 80 k's an hour, or even out on the highway. The LDV comes with 3 drive modes, normal, eco and sport. I've tried them all, and I can't really tell you what sport does other than install some red graphics on the screen. There's also an all-wheel drive mode selector between 4 high and 4 low, as is pretty standard for vehicles of this type. Plus there's an auto mode. I've left it in auto, which means the car decides which mode is best. LDV has made some adjustments to the rear suspension, and by adjustments I mean they've thrown out the old leaf spring setup and swapped it out for coils, and the ride is okay. It still has those jittery, jerky characteristics that we expect from a ute, and a few bags of concrete wouldn't go astray in the tray, but for the most part, it's pretty fine. It does wobble a bit over speed bumps and bigger obstacles and the like, but just in general driving around town, it's okay. It's not the last word in comfort, but it is a ute, and it's on a par with the rest of the segment, I feel. The steering feels nice and light too, which is what you want in a vehicle of this size. They can be a bit big and imposing for some people, and they can tend to feel a little bit heavy, but the steering feel in this is pretty good. It's not a lot of feedback, but it is nice and light, makes for easy parking, easy manoeuvrability, which is exactly what you want in a modern vehicle. When you consider how much more affordable this LDV is compared to its mainstream rivals, you have to come away thinking that, while not exactly impressive, it's a perfectly fine alternative. The driving experience is okay, it's got its faults and its minor foibles, but they're easy enough to live with. Overall, this is a pretty good effort from LDV, and certainly for the price. If you're in the market for this LDV, or any other vehicle for that matter, head on over to Drive Marketplace, where you'll find a whole host of new, used and demo models. So there you have it, the LDV T60 with the lot. It still represents good value, even if the price has crept up a little with this update. It looks good from the outside, has a nicely appointed cabin with some practical touches, and the driving experience is acceptable. Certainly, in these financially constrained times, the LDV T60 Max Plus presents as a value-packed lifestyle ute, a budget-friendly alternative to the mainstream. For my in-depth written review, head on over to Drive.com.au. And don't forget to hit subscribe and like on this video to stay up to date with everything that's happening in the world of automotive. And if you want to learn a bit more about what we reckon are some of the best utes going around, check out this video up here.